Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Higurashi One Day Cry, Chapter 7, Minagoroshi. So last episode, it was a very different opening, right, compared to the other chapters. So for this one, it was Rika and I guess she was kind of monologuing, right? She was talking about her past lives, how she lived through all of them, and I liked it because it acknowledged the different chapters that we played, right? Onikakashi, Watsunegashi, etc. She was talking all about that. And yeah, it was pretty cool. So we are going to continue today and I can't wait to see what happens. Can't wait to learn more about, I guess, Hanyu, Rika, right? More of that. We're in Rika's perspective now. So that's going to be good. And we're back here at the clinic.
はい、もう結構ですよ。
Irie withdrew the needle from Satoko's arm. It must have not hurt that much for the needle to be pulled out. Satoko kept her eyes closed in fear, thinking that the needle was still inside her arm.
さとこ、お注射はもう終わったのですよ。あら、もう終わってたんですの。
There she is. There she is. Suspicious woman number one. As Satoko opened her eyes, she found that Irie was no longer sitting in front of her. Takano was wiping her arm with rubbing alcohol instead.
そうよ。もう終わってたのよ。入江先生は私よりお注射が上手だから。
Unlike me. We'll see.
終わったことにも気づかなかったでしょ。傷口を揉んじゃダメよ。できれば重いものも持たないこと。
ええ、分かっていましたよ。さとこは偉いのですよ。なでなでしてあげますのです。注射くらいもう全然平気ですのよ。理科に撫でられるような覚えはございませんですわ。
Not long ago, she would go into panic when it was time for her to get her shot. The way she behaved today, in and itself, is worthy of praise. Everyone in the room smiled, aware of that growth.
じゃあ、さとこちゃんはいつもの検査を受けてください。高野さん、お願いします。
ええ。さあ、さとこちゃん、いつものクイズをしましょうね。
A quiz?
高野さんのクイズは答えにくい問題が多くて私苦手ですわね。
いつもと同じよ。答えづらい問題はわからないと言ってくれればいいわ。変に考え込まず、自然に思いついた答えを口にしてくれればいいのよ。
Takano smiled at Satoko to ease her tension. Then she led Satoko to a desk in the back of the examination room.
さとこの具合、良いといいのです。
I wish that Hanyu was not transparent, but I guess, yeah, she is a ghost, I suppose. I don't know if it's because of the heat, but Satoko has been showing negative symptoms since the last month. The change of the seasons can affect her physically and emotionally. It's not a surprise that this is happening to her.
私は入江たちのところへでも行って、さとこの容体を聞いてみるわ。
I like it like this. No, I mean, how Rika is changing. Like when she talks normally in front, or her other voice, right? In front of the other people. Like she's just a little kid. But then she talks alone or with Hanyu, and then it's very cold, very much more serious, and yeah, much more older.
羽生はどうする？
Like I wonder how old Rika is, but yeah, they didn't mention it, right? Like last episode, they didn't. She's like, I think she said something like, I don't even remember, right? Something like that.
僕はさとこのそばにいてあげますのです。ありがとう。そうしてあげて。
Hanyu went over to where Satoko was. So yeah, Hanyu can actually help Rika though, right? No, I mean, for example, like this one, she can look at Satoko, like look after her, right? Then Rika could do her own thing, right? So she could watch over if something happens to Satoko, right? Fortunately, I'm the only one who can see Hanyu. She won't be a distraction if she goes and observes Satoko's test. Yes, observe. She can observe everyone or anyone, right? I, of course, would be a distraction like that. This is supposed to be a routine exam, but it seems like Takano is teasing her by giving her difficult questions. It would be pretty funny to observe how Satoko reacts to them. I am a little jealous that Hanyu gets to watch everything without being a bother to Satoko. Irie was talking with two other staff members about Satoko's exam results. I walked up and joined them.
よかった。では、解放に向かっていますか？
From what Irie was saying, her results must have turned out well.
入江、どうなのですか？
安心してください。いい結果が出ました。では、あとよろしくお願いします。
After ordering his staff to continue their work, Irie showed me some difficult paperwork and started explaining it to me.
先週の検査結果に少々焦りすぎたようです。急に気候が変わったので、交感神経が過敏に反応したのでしょう。風邪をひきかけたりということはありませんでしたか？
There was one night recently that was fairly hot. Sadako was sleeping without her blanket and her stomach was exposed. She might have caught a cold at night.
お腹を出して寝てたことがありましたです。おへそをつっついたけど起きなかったのです。
それは羨ましい。ぜひ今度そういうことがあったら呼んでください。私もさとこちゃんのおへそをプニプニしてみたいものです。
プニプニなのですよ。お腹もぽよぽよなのです。かわいいからお布団をかけるのがもったいないのですよ。
それがネビエの真相ですか。
リーカー、聞こえていましたよ。そういう時はこっそりお布団をかけてくださいませ。
ダメよ、さとこちゃん。検査中よ。時間も計ってるんだからこっちに集中して。
Irie, Hanyu, and I all laughed. Sadako went back to her desk with a bitter look on her face. Irie began speaking to me in a softer voice.
ただ、小康状態には戻りましたが、レベルはレベル3マイナス。
L3 negative. What is that?
昨日も今日も明日も危険な状態を脱していないことに変わりはありません。
I don't actually remember. Did it mention something like this last chapter? I don't remember. What?
レベル3は永遠に治らないのですか？
アナフィラキシーショックと同じで、仮に異物が完全に取り除かれても、人体側に過剰な反応を示す体質が作られてしまいます。つまり、
さとこは完治しても一生レベル3から治らない。
Level 3 stage.
そういうことになります。ですが、悲観することはありません。規則正しい生活習慣とセルフコントロール。
Is that, I guess level 3? Like, you get crazier and crazier? Is that it? Like, if you go up, like, much more, you're gonna be like Rena, for example, last chapter, right? Like, she was really, really paranoid and tried to kill everyone. Is that it?
そして、ある種の投薬を続けることによって、症状の発生を抑えることができます。
Yeah, I really, really regret not continuing this instantly. I shouldn't have took a break. Yep. But yeah, it's okay.
一生治らない。
I looked at Satoko as she enjoyed taking her test. She seemed to be having fun even while being teased by Takano. Look at the wirings here. That's insane amount of wires. I can't believe that she's suffering from an incurable disease.
言葉を悪く言えばそうなります。ですが世の中には難病ではあってもうまく病気と付き合っていけるケースも少なくありません。例えば糖尿病がそうでしょう。病気そのものは生涯治りませんが、その発症は抑えることができます。
Or are they talking about the diabetes? Yeah, I think yeah, I remember. I don't know what chapter it was, but this was mentioned back then, right? I know that very well. There are many worse diseases in the world. Sadako might be in a relatively good situation compared to many other sick people.
もちろんこれで妥協するつもりはありません。さとこちゃんはきっと完治させます。絶対にです。
絶対。
信じてますですよ。
ええ、信じてください。
Irie spoke to me with a serious look on his face. As Satoko's best friend, I felt relieved to hear his words. I'm sure he'll do his best to save Satoko's life. I have no doubt that he'll do so. I've seen him act like this in every life I've lived. I also know why he's so passionate to save her, but I'm not supposed to know about it in this life. That's why I always pretend not to see his sad smile.
そうだ、リカさん。月末にまた少し大掛かりな検査があります。
今度は僕がモルモットになる番なのですか？
そんなつもりは。医学に貢献していただいていますし、大勢の人を救うことにもなります。
Irie's guinea pig is not just Satoko. I am also one of them. Although guinea pig is probably not the right term. Without Irie's effort, Satoko would not be here today. For that reason, I should be showing respect to this man. I smiled at him since my choice of words had hurt his feelings.
僕を調べてサトコの治療に役立つのなら、僕がモルモットでもいいのです。
ご協力を感謝します。
Let me see again. Let me read. Okay. Let's go up a little bit. Okay.
もう少し人と設備とお金があれば、これだけの負担をかけないのですが。
No, I was looking what kind of test. Yes. What kind of test are they gonna do? But you just said like some big test, right? The next moment the phone rang. Irie answered it in his usual business-like tone.
はい、もしもし、入江です。
東京から凱旋です。そちらへ回します。
I could hear the voice from the phone.
ああ、リサさんですね。
Risa-san.
もう今年もそんな時期になりましたか。
Who is Risa again?
電話は所長室で取りますから、そっちへ回してください。
はい。ではすみません。そちらの受話器を一度切ってください。
わかりました。リカさん、すみません。東京からの電話です。
いってらっしゃいなのですよ。
As soon as Irie hung up the phone in the other room started ringing, or the phone in the other room started ringing. He left the examination room and headed toward the office. Hanyu returned to my side as soon as Irie left. Hanyu doesn't like to be around me when I'm talking with Irie. I don't think she dislikes him. It's just that she doesn't really want to hear what he has to say. Irie doesn't mean any harm, but Hanyu is often hurt by things that come out of his mouth.
どう？サトコの様子は？ 子は相変わらず間違い探しは下手くそなのです。僕の方がいっぱい見つけられましたのですよ。あんたの検査結果なんてどうでもいいでしょ。さとこの結果はどうなの？
I thought she was there to check on Satoko, but she was taking the quiz alongside her instead. That's so typical of Hanyu. She was reading it almost like a game, but Satoko was tired after taking the same quiz every week. She seemed sleepy especially after waking up so early in the morning. The quiz in this case wasn't about a right or wrong answer. It was about timing in minutes, how long it took her to answer the question, and observing how she acted during the quiz. Not all the questions would be simple ones, so Satoko often got headaches, more so than even the spelling test we'd take at school.
もうほとんど終わりなの？はいです。今高野が持っているのが最後の一冊なのですよ。
Takano was showing a book to Satoko with abstract pictures and said, "What kind of pictures are they showing though?" I couldn't even tell if that was supposed to be a picture. It was just symmetrical ink stain.
さあ、これで最後よ。これは何に見えるかしら？
Both Hanyu and I looked at the picture over Satoko's shoulders. Even I didn't know what to answer when looking at the strange ink stain.
えっと
Satoko continued to think. Takano observed her, taking notes while Satoko struggled. She was also timing how long it took to her to answer, holding a stopwatch under the table. I spoke to Hanyu, so only she could hear me.
羽生は何に見える？このシミ。ソフトクリームなのです。すべて落としてしまって地面にべっしゃりとなのです。もったいない。
I actually thought Hanyu was Rena last episode, right? Because she's doing what Rena does. That moaning sound, right?
なるほど。実に相手の考えがわかるテストね。
To me, it looked like a horse mackerel that had been cut open and its guts pulled out. I was thinking of food too. It was rather shocking to learn that my thought process are the same as Hanyu's.
何に見えるかしら？思いつきでいいのよ。
I wish we could see the picture though. Yeah, this game, sometimes like when we do like board games and stuff, I wish they actually showed us some pictures, right? So we can actually understand or actually look at it, what is happening, right? But yeah, it is what it is. Sadako must not be very good at this test. She always takes a long time to answer a question like this. She finally opened her mouth to speak.
2匹の蝶々が重なっている感じですわね。
2匹の蝶々が重なって。
What do you call this again? Is this like the roe shark test?
いいわよ。続けて。どうして蝶々は重なっているのかしら？
Takano continued to take notes as Satoko spoke. Curious about what she was writing, I looked, but is that German? I can't read it at all. Takano is so mean.
ずっと離れ離れで会えなかった蝶々がやっと一緒になれて喜んでるところごめんなさいですわね。 私も何を言ってるのか自分でよくわかりませんわね。
いえ、そういう答え方でいいのよ。思いついたことが抽象的なら、そのまま口にしてくれればいいの。そういう検査なんだから。
本当にこんなへんてこな絵の感想を言うだけで検査になりますの？
なるわよ。例えば今のこの絵だけど、去年のさとこちゃんは別な答えを出してるの。それを比べるだけでもこの1年のあなたの変化を測ることができるわよ。
なんだか嫌なテストですわね。去年の私はこの絵に何て答えたのでございますの
Takano smiled and took a note without answering her question. I tried to remember what her answer was, but I have more than 100 years worth of memories in my head. So it is more than 100 years. Jesus Christ, right? Imagine living this, what do you call this? This stuff? The same, what do you call this? Pretty much the same, right? It just happened differently, or it happens differently every single time, right? Until I guess she dies on that world and then she moves on to the next one, right? What? Damn. Hanyu might remember better than I do. So Hanyu was there since the beginning. As I looked at Hanyu, I realized that she was standing there with a sad expression. I decided not to ask her. I could tell what kind of answer Satoko gave back then just by looking at Hanyu's face. Last year, June 1982, that was when Satoko was being abused by her cruel aunt. Yep. Recalling that, I didn't even want to know what Satoko answered. But just a year later, the Satoko who was so worn down could no longer be seen. She became so strong. I know how difficult it was for her to stay tough and strong like this. Her growth over the past year is overwhelming to me.
ケンさん、終わりましたか？
終わりましたわ。
だいぶさとこちゃんも手際が良くなりましたわ。今日はだいぶ早く終わりましたのよ。
早く終わらせるように頑張ったんですもの。今日は用事がある日だからのんびりとはできませんのよ。
おや？今日は何かあるんですか？日曜日ではありませんでしたっけ？
It's Sunday.
今日はみんなでミーのおじさんのおもちゃ屋さんで部活があるのですよ。
Club activity. Oh, is that the one where they played against a lot of people? Is that it?
なるほど。さとこちゃんが妙に今日はおとなしく検査に従ってくださると思いました。予定が詰まっていたんですね。
Let me turn the music a little bit louder. Just a little bit. At least this part, it's kind of low, right? Sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's super low.
それは悪いことをしました。ではさとこちゃん、これはいつものです。
Irie put a big paper bag on the table. He opened it up and gave her instructions about the medications. Sadako had heard the same instructions over and over before, but Irie still continued to talk just the same.
状態がいいようですので、お注射はこれまでの日に2回に戻します。昼食前と就寝前の2回に必ず注射をしてください。
How old are these kids again? But yeah, these little kids, right, are giving shots to themselves. I mean, Satoko at least, right? I don't know if I could do that if I was this young.
注射針は必ず変えるように。
Like even now, I guess.
同じ針を2度使ってはいけませんよ。
Yeah, change the needle every time. Don't ever use the same one twice.
それからこちらは どうしても体調が悪くなった時のみ食後に。
はいはいはい、いつもと同じですわよ。分かっていましたよ。
Sadako couldn't wait to meet our friends for the club activity. It made me feel happy to see her as excited as this.
注射2本に戻りましたのですよ。よかったのです。
The number of shots she has to take each day represents how well she's doing. So it's a good thing that she has to take fewer
大
shots.
変よね。1日に2本も注射を打つのは。
I think for everyone it's hard, not just Satoko. Hanya grew quiet after hearing my comment. But yeah, how does Rika talk to Hanya though? No, I mean, she's talking like that, right? And then Satoko was right in front of them, right? So is it like, what do you call that? Telepath? Like she's using her mind to talk to her? But I don't think so. Maybe she's actually just talking, right? And I don't know. But yeah, she's talking to her. That's it, I guess. Irie handed her the paper bag after he finished his instructions.
リカ終わりましたよ。
お疲れ様。検査中からずっとそわそわしてたからね。いってらっしゃいな。
すみませんわね、上の空で。いつも検査をしてくださって感謝していますのよ。
ほら、もう時間がないんじゃないの？私の車で送ろうかしら。そうそう。また車に新しいぬいぐるみがあるのよ。
No. Skip it. Don't ride with her.
今度は約束通り、さとこちゃんが名前をつけてくれていいわよ。
あら、何のぬいぐるみでございますかしら。どんな名前にしようか迷いますわね。何の動物のぬいぐるみなんですの？
また猫なのよ。
Neko.
今度は虎島なの。可愛いからきっと気に入ってくれるわよ。
Satoko and Takano are good friends. I don't trust this woman one bit, man. They're both fond of stuffed animals. Every time Takano gets a new one, she brags about it to Satoko. They all have, that's all they have in common, but having a friend like Takano is a special thing for Satoko. She's part of the Hojo family who tried to betray the village. People at the clinic are the only adults who will even talk to Satoko.
じゃあお二人とも部活行ってらっしゃい。罰ゲームが未定でしたら、ぜひメイド服の着用を提案してくださいね。サイズから種類までいろいろと取り揃えておりますので。また来週お会いしましょう。
やなこったなのですよ。また来週なのです。さ、行きましょうですわ。今日は部活メンバーだけじゃありませんものね。腕が鳴りましたよ。
I bowed slightly and made to leave the examination room, but I soon realized something. Irie was looking at me with a sad expression on his face. Just with that look, I could tell what he wanted to say. Please take care of Satoko-chan if something happens to her. I nodded him and stepped out into the hallway with Satoko. I mean, Irie,
あれあれ。
he really cares for Satoko, even though like he jokes a lot, right? He really cares for her. My goodness.
検査は慣れても疲れますわね。検査、お嫌なのですか？めんどくさいから嫌ではありますけど、これも仕事ですもの。仕方ありませんわ。
Sadako is supporting Irie's research. She gets financial support by helping him out. Or at least, that's what Satiko thinks she's doing. I mean, Irie can't just formally adopt Satoko. Yeah. Because Satoko still has her, what do you call this? Her guardians, right? Satoko was bursting with enthusiasm, so we headed to the Okonomiya at full speed. Satoko was bursting with enthusiasm, so we headed to Okonomiya. Okay. I read it again, I'm sorry. We wound up waiting for Keiichi and the other club members for a long time. Like, for example, when I'm reading the first line, then when I think of something and then I go back, I forgot that I read the first line, so I'm sorry for that. We got here early, but they were late. I think they were late the last time we did this too. Didn't mean that this was something that was meant to happen. But yeah, isn't this the day where the one with Mion, right? That this is the trigger, right? If what do you call this? If Keiichi doesn't give it to Mion, then it triggers all the things that happened in Watanagashi, right? It's unpleasant that I can't even change the most minor fates. I finally saw them coming towards us on their bikes.
皆様方、お待ちしてましたよ。
Satoko acted like she was upset, but I could tell that she was pleased to see them just the same.
さとこが可愛いのですよ。そこが飽きないのよ。可愛すぎる。
Satoko's behavior soothes my feelings of frustration. This is why I love Satoko. If she was a small fluffy animal, I would definitely keep her in a cage.
さとこちゃん、リカちゃん、おはよ
Here comes Rena. Normal as ever, right?
う。おはようございますなのです。
おはようリカちゃん。さとこ、警察が来る前にケリをつけるぞ。目標は10億強奪だ。
圭一さんの話がわかりませんわ。遅くなったかな。リカちゃんたちは今来たの？今日は早く終わったのでだいぶ待ってましたですよ。
Mion and Rena know that Satoko gets checked up every Sunday at the clinic.
そりゃあ悪いことしたわ。こっちはケイちゃんがなかなか来なくてさ。
That Keiichi. So he's the reason they're always late.
圭一では仕方ありませんですよ。みぱー。
ちょい待て。俺が悪役になれば丸く収まるのかよ。
もちろん。圭一さんでなくては務まらない大役でしたよ。
実に嫌な大役だな。こんなので丸く収まると思ったら大間違いだぞ。
Keiichi and Satoko mess around with each other. Satoko acted like she was crying and Rena punched Keiichi, knocking him cold. Or out cold. It was the same old situation they always got into. I can watch this sort of thing forever. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna feel sad or feel good for Rena, or for Rika. But yeah, at the beginning, I guess, of her lives, right? Whenever she repeats it, she's gonna have time with her friends, like a happy time with her friends, right? Like good times, just like this. See, she's saying I can watch this sort of thing forever. But then later, it goes all to like some serious stuff, right? Killing, getting crazy, stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. You can feel good and bad for her at the same time. It's good that, oh, she's experiencing this again with her friends. They're having a good time, playing, doing their stuff and all. Then you're gonna feel bad for her because of the stuff that's gonna happen as well, right? It's like having a glass of cold milk after taking a hot bath.
やっぱりこれが正しい丸い収め方。
前歯が欠ける前に 新しいオチを探した方がいいと思うけどね。
We all laughed at him and finished greeting each other.
今日もみんなとっても元気なのです。元気に勝る宝はないわね。そんなこと言ってるとリカはどんどん老け込んじゃいますのです。うるさいな。誰のせいだと思ってんのよ。当分甘いものを食べるのやめるわよ。
I'm not going to eat sweets, any sweets, if you keep on saying things like that. What? Wait, what does that mean? I'm not going to eat any sweets if you keep on saying things like that. Like, is what Rika is eating, like Hanyu will feel it too? Like, I think when Rika is drinking, right, then Hanyu will be drunk as well. Is that what's happening? Hanyu seemed to be getting more depressed than usual. I should stop teasing her so much.
嘘よ。
Because yeah, obviously Hanyu cannot eat anything physically, right? So yeah, she is connected to Rika, and I guess whatever Rika eats or drinks, she's also affected by that.
冗談だからあんまりひっつかないで。ごめんなさいなのです。
Hanyu loves sweet treats. She especially loves cake and ice cream. Since she can't eat anything, she has to depend on me when it comes to that. Okay, see? She's explaining it now. In other words, whatever I eat, Hanyu can taste too. There we go. Even if Hanyu craves something, it doesn't mean anything if I don't eat it. In other words, I have total control of what she eats. That's why it's fun to tease her with saying what I'll eat and what I won't. It's almost as fun as teasing Satoko.
リカちゃんは今日もご機嫌だね。お持ち帰り。
はいはい、お持ち帰ったら犯罪だからね。
ミオン、店のおじさんが呼んでるぜ。
リカ、聞きまして。今日の部活、賞金が出るんだそうですのよ。
I remember. Mion was going to be paying 50,000 yen out of her pocket as a prize. I mean, she's rich, right? So it doesn't matter. I couldn't believe she could just afford that. Therefore, I have to assume that she has some kind of guarantee that she won't lose.
なんと5万円でしたよ。5万円。
How much is 50,000 yen, by the way? For example, like dollars, like... I don't know. Maybe $100? Sadako stared at me. Oh no. She was expecting me to be surprised to hear the prize was 50,000 yen. It's natural to be surprised after hearing that sum. Then I guess Rika didn't, express anything. She wasn't surprised. But I didn't react because I already knew it. Because this had happened, I guess, a couple times already. Perhaps I gave the impression that I've known it for a long time.
ケイチさん、5万円なんてすごい賞金と思いませんですかと？
Then Keiichi's reaction is gonna be he's gonna shout.
5万円？なんだよそれ。ケイイチ王国の5年分の GNP に匹敵するぞ。
Sadako said the same thing to Keiichi. She probably assumed that I wasn't listening to her. So she decided to talk to Keiichi instead. Okay, 50,000 Japanese yen, it says here, is $300. That's a lot of money though. Yeah.
大丈夫。5万円もあれば、もうずっと使い切れないくらいのお醤油が買えますです。
A lifetime supply of soy sauce. I know it's getting a little bit louder again.
なんで5万円分も お醤油を買わないといけないんですの。お醤油を買ってきてと言ってもめんどくさがる人がいるからなのですよ。
Because a certain someone always gives me a dirty look when I ask her to go get the soy sauce from the store. I guess it's Satoko, her.
ピパー。リカって結構根に持ちますのね。
5万円分の醤油って一体どのくらいだよ。すげえ量になりそうだな。
Keiichi joined the conversation, which finally brought us back to our normal pace. In order to bestow greater happiness, I need to sacrifice a smaller one. In a perfect world, Rika Furude was supposed to be surprised to hear from her best friend that the prize was 50,000 yen. But I already knew that. I knew it from my previous lives, so all I could do was give her a boring reaction. I can't be surprised at the big prize of 50,000 yen. I can't give her the reaction that she expects from me. I'm losing the ability to be surprised by life. Yeah, because all of the things that's been happening already happened, right? And she's just pretending, I suppose. And after the continual repetition of small incidents like this, there will be nothing left that I can find interesting. I'll have nothing to be surprised about. I'll never be impressed with anything. Eventually, I'll lose my emotions entirely. That's why I'm always trying to be careful. I'll make sure I act like the Rika Furude who doesn't know anything. Even though I may not be impressed as a young girl, Rika Furude should be impressed with many things. Rika Furude is supposed to act excited when she encounters something for the first time. I try to, at least. But the more and more I try, the more I feel like Rika Furude is someone very distant.
リカ。ごめん。こういうことで感情を灰色にすると、また寿命が縮んじゃうわね。世界をもっと楽しまなきゃ。
I don't mean my lifespan literally. I am not referring to my physical lifespan, but my mental one. The more and more I repeat the same days, the more I lose. From wonder to passion, and eventually my life will become like an overplayed videotape. If I'm tired of that tape, I have no choice, or I have a choice to close my eyes and sleep. By the time I wake up, the video should be over. But in reality, my life is not a beat up old videotape. If I close my eyes and sleep, that would be my death. When my mental lifespan is over, Rika Furude will turn into a doll who can't even move a finger by her own will. When that happens, my pursuit of happiness will be over. I don't want that to happen. It's been at least 100 years, if not more. Jesus. I've been stuck in this living hell for so long. I don't want my life to end here.
ごめん。もう大丈夫。100年程度で愚痴ってたら、あんたに笑われちゃうものね。僕はもう運命に慣れていますのですから。
I've grown used to this fate by now. I mean, I guess it's been 100 years, right? Reliving the same things over and over again. It's nice that you see your friends all the time, right? But it always ends in tragedy, and then you're gonna have to repeat it again.
よし、大丈夫。私はフルで理解。私はフルで理解。
Oh yeah, why doesn't Hanyu be there though? Doesn't Hanyu remember? No. For example, someone kills Rika, right? So Hanyu doesn't remember as well. Who killed Rika, for example? Probably not, right? I mean, yeah, no, that's for sure. Because if she knew, and then she would have told Rika already. Rika Furude is supposed to be a cute and innocent little girl after all.
レナだったら5万円で何を買いますですか？
Rena would buy cute things, definitely.
ケンタくん人形とか売っ ってもらえないのかな。フライドチキン屋さんに5万円持ってったら売ってくれないかな。はお。その5万円で鎖を切る工具と第8車を買った方が早いと思いますです。レナさんだったら素手で鎖を引きちぎりかねませんわね。
違いない違いない。
はお、ひどい。
Thus, we rejoin the typical flow of conversation naturally. Once I enter that flow, it's not hard for me to continue as Rika Furude. Being Rika Furude is like flying a kite for me. Once it's up in the air, it can stay in the sky for a while. But if something happens and it loses control, it's one heck of a challenge to get it back on track. Every time it tries to get back up in the air, the kite gets dragged on the ground and wears out. I'm exactly like that. Finally, Mion started clapping her hands to get everyone's attention. I already knew the rules. The members will be broken into 5 different groups and each group plays a game that they chose together. I was secretly hoping that Mion would change the rules for some reason. There's nothing more boring than to already know what was going to happen.
ミオンの部活って割と気まぐれなことが多いもの。ひょっとするとルールは違うこともあるかも。
Who knows, right? I mean, the things has been changing already. Just as she said, right? On the last chapter, Keiichi remembered what happened in the previous chapters, right? For the first time, right? She said that last episode. And she was so hopeful that maybe Keiichi would still remember, right? But then when she asked Keiichi last time, it was like, yeah, he doesn't remember anything again. But who knows? Yeah, things are changing. Maybe it will change in this one as
普段
well.
ならそういうこともあると思いますですが、今日はきっと何日も前から計画していたことだと思うのです。強い意志は運命になりやすい。だったわね。
Normally, when we're doing club activities, Mia decides what to play at the last minute. She opens up the locker and randomly decides what game to play. For that reason, our club activities are rarely repeated throughout my lives. That's why I'm never bored with them. So that's pretty good though. Yes. But just as Hani said, today's event was something that Mion had been planning for a while. I was certain she wouldn't suggest anything spontaneous today. In that case, this won't be up to a random chance. Mion had only one idea in her mind. Therefore, it was equivalent to destiny. Although her idea of having this event in a toy store is actually a spontaneous one. In all the lives I repeated, there's a very low chance for this event to occur.
だからあまりそういうのは期待しない方がいいのです。期待してるわけじゃないわ。
Of course, I was lying just now. I actually want to know if, for example, Rika did this in one of her lives, right? She tried to interfere, right, with what is happening. And I wonder what the consequences of that. Like, yeah, her doing that, or what will happen, I mean, right? Because right now, she's not really doing anything. She's going with the flow, right? She knows what's gonna happen, but yeah, she's just watching, basically. She's seeing if something changes or anything like that. She doesn't interfere fully, like fully, I suppose. I was hoping that Mion would suggest a new rule for this game. If it was the same rules again, I'd be suffering for a few minutes while I listened to her instructions. Nothing is more frustrating than walking the same path over and over again. I mean, I guess. When I played the MMOs, You do the same thing over and over again. And then over time, it gets frustrating. Please change my fate, Mion.
まずはくじ引きで5つの卓に分かれるよ。そして各卓から1人の勝者を出して。
It was the same rules after all.
ごめん。ちょっと期待した。変な期待はかえって理科を傷つけますですよ。そうね。何度も教えられてるのに私も学ばないわね。
I mean, this is perfectly normal though. If you're living your life, you see, as she said, 100 years, right? You would have small hopes that, oh, maybe, please, maybe this time, right? It would change just a little bit. So, I mean, what Rika is doing is normal. Hanyu has taught me so many times. She taught me the trick to swimming in the flow of destiny. The flow of destiny is just like a river's. By going with the flow, I can swim in the direction I want to some extent, but of course, trying to swim against the flow requires great effort. Oh my god, sorry, I clicked it. Allowing myself to drift causes the least amount of strain. Of course, some strong currents are impossible to resist, even with great effort. If I recklessly try to resist without realizing it's impossible, then I'll only wear myself out needlessly, just as if fighting a river's current. So Hanyu taught me to read those currents, which is why I should have easily imagined that the rules would be the same the moment I learned that Mion had planned today's event in advance. Yet, I still wish the rules would be different, a completely wasteful action. In the end, my hopes were betrayed, only leaving my heart worn out. And things like that caused me to separate further from Rika Furude. Eventually, I'll grow tired of everything, I'll lose all interest and die.
抗えない運命は受け入れる。理科なら運命の流れを読むことができますですよ。そうよね。ただでさえ短い残りの寿命、大事にしないとね。
I sighed and pretended as though I was listening to what Mion was explaining.
どうしたんだリカちゃん。
Keiichi.
退屈なのか。
退屈って僕がですか？
This had never happened before, so I thought I was talking to someone else. But it seemed like Keiichi really was talking to me.
うん。なんか今朝は会ってからずっと退屈そうな顔をしてるからさ。ひょっとして早起きしすぎて寝不足なのか？へへ。
前に同じ部活をやったことがあるので、またなのかと思っただけなのです。
No one would understand what I mean anyway, but Keiichi might. And so I told him how I honestly felt.
え？なんだそうなのか？なんだミオンめ。道理で手慣れてると思ったぜ。ま、俺は初めての参加だから十分楽しみだけどな。
I envied him for feeling that way. I sighed, knowing that I never will.
確かにすでに知ってる説明を延々と繰り返されると苦痛な時ってあるよな。俺も昔塾で学校のだいぶ先まで習っててさ、遅れて習う学校が苦痛だったことがあるよ。
Keiichi didn't understand me, but I'm glad that at least he understood how frustrating it was to repeat the same situation.
そうなのです。僕も学校は特に苦痛なのですよ。
え？本当かよ。いつも楽しそうにしてるじゃないかよ。
Rika Furude is supposed to be happy at school. That's why I act that way.
すでに知っていることを延々と聞き続けなければならないのは、拷問以外の何者でもないと思いますのです。
It's easy for me to change what Satoko cooks for dinner. I can simply volunteer to cook instead of her. but I can't change what the teacher teaches at the school every day. I have no choice but to be quiet and listen to her lecture.
まあ授業はどうしようもないよな。俺はそこを塾で習ってますから、その次をやってくださいなんて生意気言ったらいろいろと怒られるもんな。でもこいつは違うぜ。遊びじゃないか。
遊びではありますが、決まってるのですよ。
わかんねえぜ。だって5択に分かれるのはくじ引きだそうじゃねえか。しかもそれぞれの択で何のゲームをやるかは任意に決めることになってる。今日どんなゲームで戦わされてどんな展開で盛り上がるかなんか全然想像がつかねえぜ。
予想はつきますですよ。
そんなことねえよ。
Keiichi smiled as he contradicted me. That smile seemed so ignorant to me.
くじ引きで5択に分かれますですが、部活メンバーはきれいに5択に分かれますです。圭一はあそこ。僕はそこの択なのです。そして僕は魚釣りのゲームをすることになります。
Fishing game, I wanna play that.
圭一はすごろくの100億長者ゲームなのです。
Billionaire. I don't know how, but last time we were broken into 5 separate groups. It couldn't have been a coincidence. I'm sure Mion did something to ensure it would end up like this. I'm 100% sure. As for the games we play, I'm not totally sure, but if each member in a group follows the same thinking patterns, they'll probably end up making the same choices. If you roll the dice many times, you begin to approach the average. One person's spontaneous act can be random, but multiple people's thoughts can be averaged out for most of the part. The more people that are involved, the more difficult it is to alter the path of the fate. That's why I'm pretty sure that we'll end up playing the same games. Keiichi seemed surprised to hear my prediction.
なんだよそれ。予言か？よくそこまで言い切れるじゃねえか。
運命とはそういうものなのです。
へへ、運命なんて言われるとよ、意地でも抗ってみたくなるのが男ってもんだよな。
He smiled at me again. I knew that he was smiling without reason, but I felt a small hope from him. After all, Keiichi really did shatter fate before. But that was just a miracle that happened in my previous life. I couldn't expect him to do the same thing in this one. Otherwise, I would be worn down by my high expectations yet again.
はい、くじ引きはこの箱の中から1枚引いて決めよう。まず部活メンバーからね。
Mion drew first, then Satoko followed. The results were the same as last time.
初戦で部活メンバーとは当たりたくねえな。もしリカちゃんと当たったらごめんよ。
当たりませんですよ。圭一の卓はあそこ。僕の卓はそこなのです。
ちぇ、そううまくいってたまるかよ。うりゃ。
Keiichi looked upset.
ね、僕の予言は外れないのです。
5択の一つってことは 20% だもんな。
20% chance.
適当に言ったってそれだけの確率で当たるってことさ。
Keiichi told me that it was just a coincidence.
なら、僕のくじも予想通りだったなら、何%の確率になりますですか
？20% の 20% だから4% だな。
4%.
さすがにこの確率だったら信じてもいいぜ。
Keiichi grinned at me, believing such a chance was impossible.
さあ、 最後はリカちゃんだよ。
Mion handed me the box of slips. No matter what I did, I'd be getting that table. There was a reason behind it. Mion was doing something to make sure that we all get a different table. I thought about why Mion would do that. I guess Mion wants to play with the friends. With that information I've gathered about Mion over many years, I could see her reasoning.
多分ミオンは部活のメンバーの誰かが1回戦で負けてしまったら気の毒だと思っているのでしょう。
Yeah, like, so different tables. So if you can get past the first stage, at least you can move on and maybe one of them will play each other after that, right?
そうね。
Or the finals, or maybe at least the winner might be one of the friends.
同じ卓に部活メンバーがぶつかり合ったら、どちらかのメンバーは必ず敗退することになる。
Yes, so if you put, like, for example, all of the friends in one group, and then, yeah, only one will pass, right? So what are the others gonna do anymore if they lose? They're just gonna watch. That's why she was controlling this draw. I put my hand inside of the box. I could feel several folded pieces of paper inside it. But if you thought for a moment, it was odd. No matter which one I choose, I'd never get any other table.
どういう仕掛けでリカを最後の卓へ送るようにしているのですか？さあ、それはミオンに聞かないとわからないわね。でも一つ言えるのは、多分この箱の中のどれを引いてもあの卓になると書いてあるはず。
I got it.
その箱の中には今同じくじしか入っていない？そういうことになるわね。多分ミオンの持つこの箱は何か細工がしてあるんでしょうね。
It was probably a box for a magic show or something. There could be some kind of gimmick inside the box and she can switch what's inside of it. Depending on his drawing, the paper she'd change out the lots and control the result. I didn't know exactly, but I was sure she was doing something. I didn't even need to know how she was doing it. The most important thing was why.
どれにしようか迷いますです。
さあさあ、どれを選んでも運命は一緒だよ。
She was admitting it herself. I was certain then. Based on what I felt inside, there were less than 10 pieces of paper inside this box. In other words, there were hidden pieces of paper that I couldn't touch somewhere inside the box. I smiled at Mion as I figured out her trick, but she had no clue why I was smiling.
ではこれなのです。
はいよ、どれどれ。おお、すごいね。部活メンバーが全員きれいに分かれたよ。
Wow. Mion behaved as though this was news to her. Yeah, she was acting surprised. She's such an actress. The other contestants made a dissatisfied noise. They'd have to face a club member no matter which table they got. Keiichi was surprised too. And not only because we were divided.
ね、運命は決まっていることなのです。
I smiled at him in return. Keiichi was in denial for a moment, but then he smiled back at me.
25分の1の確率で当てるとはやるじゃねえか。
It was not. I predicted that Mion and Satoko would be at a different table, so the possibility was even lower than that. Keiichi understood that, but normal people like him can't understand the meaning of fate. That's why he put it off as coincidence. I mean... But Keiichi, what if my prediction is right about what game you'll be playing? The possibility will be 1 in billions. There are a lot of games in this store, so what if that prediction is right too? Will you still believe it's just a coincidence? I stayed quiet in my seat and then waited to see what game my group was going to decide on. They were going to choose the fishing game. I can't expect him to choose anything other than that.
期待して裏切られたらまた辛くなるものね。
One of the boys stood up. He walked towards a shelf full of games and picked up one box. He lifted the box above his head and turned around so he could show it to us. I closed my eyes as he did, but I could still hear what he was saying.
見ろよ、これこれ。懐かしいよな。これにしねえか。知ってるよ、それ。魚がくるくる回って口をパクパクさせるのを釣るやつだろ。
I could taste the bitter chemicals from my brain in my mouth. I clenched my lips and tried to endure the numbing feeling.
ごめん。今日は体調が悪いのかしらね。なぜかうまく受け流せないわ。
It wasn't because I wasn't feeling well, of course. It was because of my emotions. Our powers are getting weaker and we can only rewind about 2 weeks of our lives. I was feeling that the end was near for us. In order for me to change my tragic fate, I need more time to prepare. But I can only go back 2 weeks. That means my power to resist my fate has significantly weakened. Even if I become as weak as a small leaf in the river, I should be able to do something in order to change my path. But if I can only go back to the point where I'm getting ready to be swallowed into the whirlpool, there's no chance for me to escape it. I lived for so long believing that I could eventually escape my fate and survive. I believed that I had a chance in every moment of every life I lived. But there are limits to those chances. There are so many limits in my repeated lives, and perhaps this might be my last chance. Probably not your last chance. There's gonna be another chapter, right? That may be why I'm feeling so restless.
ダメです、リカ。難しく考えれば考えるほど心に良くないのです。分かってるわよ。ちょっと黙ってて。
When Rena says that, when Rena moans like that, it's only once, alright? When Hanyu does it, it's 5 times. My brain was numb as if surrounded by the gray mist. I was inside a crowded toy store, but felt very far away from everyone else. The tighter I closed my eyes and the harder I clenched my teeth, the emptier my head became. No.
リカ、しっかり。
As I tried to focus, I became conscious again. Hanyu looked at me with concern, so I take it back. Yeah, I feel bad for Rika. Not even good anymore. I was saying good or bad earlier, right? I just feel bad for her. I tend to lose my mind easily right after coming back from death. I usually have more time to relax and get used to my new life, but I have no time for that now. The Watanagashi festival is only 2 weeks away. I can't just relax and wait for myself to get used to things. Don't be a wimp, Rika. Don't be a wimp. Fight against fate. But even if I do, that fate always betrays me and I grieve. What if I did the opposite? What if I didn't fight against fate? A few weeks after the Watanagashi festival of 1983, I will die because I am fated to do so. You gotta fight, don't fight. Fight, don't fight. Fight, don't fight. Fight, and don't fight. As I repeat the same words, they started to lose all meaning. I felt like I was chanting something. I bit my tongue in my mind and forced myself to stop thinking about it. I was calming down a little bit. When I opened my eyes, I saw the fishing game right in front of me, as well as my pole. Someone placed it there while I had my eyes closed. Dude, I want to play that fishing game, I'm not gonna lie. I really want to play that. I'm gonna look how much is the fishing game. It was as if I was seeing the immovable reality of fate right in front of me. I remember playing that when I was a kid. Yeah, I had fun with that game. It felt like a final verdict to me. What do you think, Keiichi? This is what fate is all about. Do I want to earn his agreement or his sympathy? I stood up and walked toward Keiichi's table. His group couldn't decide on the game, so the store owner was deciding for them. Just like the last time, the store owner will pick the game of life.
やっぱり相手の提案するゲームじゃ不利だもんな。なんて言って互いの提案を蹴り合うもんだからちっとも決まりゃしねえんだ。リカちゃんの方は決まったのか？
見ればわかりますですよ。
He looked at my table and saw the fishing game there. Keiichi was surprised to see that my prediction was right again. He also remembered that I predicted his game too.
じゃあマスターはリカちゃんの予言した100億長者ゲームを持ってくるっていうのかよ。
僕は時々予言もできますのですよ。ミパー。
本当かよおい。よしよし。じゃあマスターが本当に100億長者ゲームを持ってきたなら信じてやるぜ。
そうです。ケイイチたちは100億長者ゲームで戦うことになりますです。
よしよし、そこまで言うなら勝負しようじゃねえか。あ、マスターを買収してあるなんてのはなしだぞ。
マスターが売れ残りのゲームを持ってこようと強く思っているなら必然の結果になりますのです。
I remember it was covered by dust when he gave it to them last time. Since we had to buy the game if he lost, he was trying to sell products he had a surplus of. Therefore, he won't be choosing any game at random. He will be looking for the one with bad sales. With a strong will to do so, that will of his is going to make the pull of fate all the stronger. In that sense, there's no guarantee that he'd be choosing the game of life specifically. He might choose something else that's also overstocked. The owner finally reappeared with a box covered in dust.
ね、言った通りなのですよ。
He has a game of life box in his hands. The part of me that hoped it wouldn't be the game of life tasted bitterness at the betrayal, but cynical part of me that expected it to happen found it amusing in a way. I felt like my personality was twisting more and more.
マスター、どうしてそのゲームを選んだんです？
ん？いやいや、本当に気まぐれだよ。倉庫の在庫から適当に探し出したのさ。決して売れ残りの一番傷んだやつを持ってきたわけじゃないんだよ。
When he heard that the owner chose the game randomly, Keiichi shrugged his shoulders in confusion. That must be his way of surrendering.
なあリカちゃん、これってマジの予言なのか？
ミパ
いやさ、村のお年寄りにリカちゃんはお社様の生まれ変わりで神通力があるって力説されたことがあるんだよ。未来の予言とかができてものすごい的中率だとかなんとか。それって本当なのか？
I was surprised that Keiichi actually believed the superstitious stories he heard from the elderly villagers.
ー、決まっている運命を読むだけなのです。もっと言えば前に一度見てきた世界なのですから。
チェックソー。ここまで当てられちゃそんなバカなとも言えやしない。
But I'm wondering though, right? Up until what does or where does Rika go back in time, right? Remember when we were with Akasaka on chapter 4, right? He was talking to Rika, and that younger version of Rika was actually, telling him things as well, right? That might happen in the future. So I don't know how long her life is, right? Or her life is. I guess as she said back then, right? Like, last episode she said back then it was much more longer, right? And then as, I guess, the years go by, as she's doing this, it becomes shorter and shorter. So I guess that explains it, right? Now she only has like 2 weeks of her life, and then it's gonna reset again. If they fail, I mean. He probably only thinks I'm goofing around and acting haughty because my random predictions all came true. I had hope for him. I thought the owner might bring a different game because Keiichi once had the power to change fate, but that didn't happen. I'm not surprised, but I felt betrayed again. It hurts.
賭けは僕の勝ちなのですよ。
I speak to Keiichi sarcastically. I wanted him to understand that no one can change the path of fate. However, Keiichi did nothing but smile.
調子に乗るなよ、リカちゃん。運命を読めるなんていい加減なことを言っちゃいけないぜ。男にとって宿命と運命という言葉はもっともっと尊くて熱い意味がこもってるんだ。そんなやすやすと読めるようなもんじゃねえ。
I had no idea what he was trying to say, but he made me nervous. It wasn't a scary feeling. No, it was closer to hope.
さっきリカちゃんはマスターが100億長者ゲームを持ってくることを運命だと言った。偶然であったとしても的中したのだからリカちゃんが正しいと言わざるを得ないさ。でもな、こうも言ったよな。
何ですか？
Yeah, what did you say? What?
俺が100億長者ゲームで戦うことも運命だってな。
Oh, yes. It was indeed his fate. Fate can change sometimes with uncertainty and time, but the possibility that it would change in this situation was very slight. I doubted that anything would turn out differently.
なら、その運命とやらを俺がぶち壊してやろうじゃないか。
So her telling Keiichi this, and her in her head saying that it wouldn't change anything, it still is gonna happen, right? And now Keiichi's changing the fate. He's not gonna play. I guess he's gonna forfeit. Keiichi stood up in a hurry. Then he started talking to Tomita and Okamura, his group members.
すまん、俺100億長者ゲームは持ってるんだよ。だからルールの裏の裏まで知り尽くしてる。
Or are they gonna choose this another game?
そうなんですか？
ああ。だからこのセレクトはフェアじゃないよな。マスター、申し訳ないんですけど、100億長者ゲームの隣に置いてあった他のゲームに変えてもらえませんか？
そうかい？わかったよ。じゃあ他のを持ってこよう。
Damn, Keiichi the man, he changed it. The owner picked up the game of life again and took it back in the storage. As I remained there in shock, he returned with a game called The Pop-Up Pirate.
これならどうかな？
あの樽にナイフを刺すゲームですよね。
どうだよ二人とも。これならフェアだろ。
そうですね。ルールもわかりやすいし、それにしましょう。
じゃあ決まり。俺たちの卓はこれで勝負だ。
Keiichi winked at me as I stood there with my mouth open. It looked like he just forcefully changed my prediction. But for me, it's not that simple. It was supposed to be fate, and that's why the owner brought the game of life to their table. They were supposed to play that game. That's what happened last time. That's what was supposed to happen. But he changed that fate in front of my eyes like it was nothing. It's as if someone asked me to stand an egg on its end, and as I struggled to do so, Keiichi forcefully cracked the egg and made it stand up in front of me. I should have had a far greater power than Keiichi, but why was I feeling so weak? Was it because I wasn't trying to fight against fate so I wouldn't get hurt? Because I was going with the flow without trying too hard? What was I thinking?
リカちゃんさ、さっきすっげえつまらなさそうな顔してたよな。それってあれだろ？魚釣りゲームじゃ嫌だなって不安が的中しちゃってふてくされてたんだろ？
そうね。今さら隠さない。
じゃあ簡単じゃないか。
So I'm a witch who's been living for more than 100 years? So I thought I was better than everyone just because I can see the paths of fate? That's stupid. I really am stupid. Keiichi tapped me on the back. He was urging me to return to my table. The sensation of his touch filled up my heart with emotion. I wasn't going to stand idly by anymore. I thought I couldn't cheat fate. I thought 2 weeks wasn't enough. But Keiichi defied or justified his fate in a matter of 5 minutes.
僕は魚釣りゲームはお魚さんがかわいそうだと思いますので、他のゲームにしたいのですよ。
The other people at my table looked at me with confused expressions. Their reactions were scaring me. Right at the moment, I could really feel that I was facing the impenetrable wall of fate. Even so, I had nothing to be scared of.
そっか。じゃあリカちゃんは何がいい？リカちゃんの提案する他のゲームでいいよ。
They accepted my suggestion and gave up on the fishing game so easily. That's right, I used to be much more aggressive before. But I became so tired and mean. I gave in to fate. But I'm not going to yield anymore. Keiichi taught me that. He didn't have any memories from his previous life, but Keiichi was still Keiichi. He'd never give in to fate.
久しぶりに運命と戦おうという気力が充実するのを感じるわ。やる気があればものの5分でだって運命は変えられる。それが2週間もあるんだもの。今回はこれまでとは違う。もっともっと運命と戦ってみせる。頑張りましょうなのです。
In contrast to my motivation, Hanyu was wearing a sad expression. Okay. Everyone is just smiling.
そっか。おじさんの店の手伝いってんじゃ仕方ねえな。
ささやかなお店だけどね。でもさ、特売やれば主婦が殺到するの常識で読めないのかね。店員足りないのに卵1パックを一人様1点限り10円なんてやるな。
As we were getting ready to move on to the next stage, Mion got a call from work. This was fated to happen too. If I was still feeling depressed, I would have been disgusted with this situation. But after learning what it felt like to change fate, I was in a good mood. Keiichi and Mion seemed like they kept regretting that they were unable to settle the match. And they really are such good friends.
本当にあの2人は仲がいいね。仲良しさんすぎてレナは焼いちゃうよ。はお。うちのクラスにはケイイチさんと近い年の男子がいませんものね。ケ ケイイチさんにはちょうどいい男友達の感覚なんじゃありませんの？それでもみーちゃんは女の子なんだよ。男の子にはなれないよ。それは分かってますけど、こうしていると仲のいい男子同士にしか見えませんわね。
Rena and Satiko enjoyed the lingering excitement of the day as they watched Mion and Keiichi, I said Keiichi. Keiichi happily goof off. Yes, I fused Keiichi and happily together. The next moment, the owner came out from the store.
みんな、今日は本当にありがとう。おかげでイベントは大盛り上がりだったよ。
He was holding 4 paper bags in his hands. I remember he gave us gifts as a reward for today. I think there were dolls inside. Yeah, this is the thing. This is the trigger, right, for Mion?
大したものじゃないけど、
Or for
これ
Shion, I mean?
今日のおだちんに。
So will it change or not?
吉郎おじさん、私にはないの？おだちん。
He was giving them only to us. Mion didn't get anything because she's a family member. That's what happened last time too.
あらあらあら。可愛いのが出てきましたわよ。
Satiko let out a cheer of joy as she saw a cute doll inside her bag. Rena reacted the same way.
わあ、これかわいい。お持ち帰りしていいの？本当に？
ってことは俺のもかな。なんだかやたら可愛いのが出てきたぞ。
Keiichi got a gorgeous, expensive looking doll. It was by far the best one. It was adorable even to my eyes. Satiko, Rena, and Mion were feeling the same way.
ケイちゃんには一番似合わないのが出てきちゃったね。
Mion started making fun of him right away. She was only saying that because she was jealous that Keiichi got a doll that she really wanted.
なんつうのか、プリティっていうかキュートっていうか、可愛いのは認めるんだが、着せ替え人形はちょっとな。
ケイちゃんが持ってたら確実に明日から変態扱いだね。うん。
Mion just can't be honest with herself. It was obvious she was trying to make him give up the doll so she could have it herself. She should just admit it to Keiichi, yeah, right? But that's a cute side of Mion. I bet Keiichi can never understand this. Keiichi can keep the doll after receiving that much bullying from Mion. He was thinking about who he should give it to. He probably didn't want to give it to Mion. Time froze for a moment. Hanyu whispered something in my ear.
リカ、覚えていますですか？
ええ。
Wait, I advised him on who he should give the doll to? Let me save here. And let's say I did nothing and watched the events unfold. I thought about telling Keiichi to give the doll to Mion, but I said quiet because I wanted to believe in him. When we were in the same situation in a previous life, Keiichi gave the doll to Rena, right? And then everything that happened in Watanagashi happened. Mion was deeply hurt by that, and the tragedy began shortly after that. If I didn't do anything and just watched him now, things were going to end up the same way. But I'm sure that Keiichi deeply regretted the fact that he didn't give the doll to Mion in that previous world. And while I was aware he didn't have any memories from that world, I was hoping that his heart vaguely remembered that strong emotion. I challenged him without telling him anything. Keiichi is contemplating whether he should give the doll to Mion or to Rena. He finally opens his mouth.
ミオン、俺が持ってたら変態扱いなら、こりゃ誰が持ってりゃ変態扱いにならないんだ？
And then he gives it to Mion and changes fate yet again. The man Keiichi. I don't think if we chose the other question though, if we said that give it to Mion, right? Like if Rika said that, I don't think Mion would accept it. Maybe she would say like, oh no, I don't really need it, right? Like if Keiichi still gave it to her, she may be like too prideful to accept that. But with this, with us not saying anything and Keiichi giving it on his own without anyone's say, right? Mion's gonna accept it and she's gonna blush. See?
そんなことは知らないよ。まあお人形なんて男の子の持つものじゃないよねって言っただけだしさ。
ほう。じゃあお前が持てば万事解決じゃないか。ほれ。
Keiichi tossed the doll to Mion as if passing her a basketball. As if forcing her to carry his bag or something. Mion's face quickly turned red. Feeling shy, Keiichi turned away from her. That was amazing. Keiichi just made a miracle happen again. He did it without any memory of his previous life. It was exactly the same situation as the previous world, but he made a totally different decision.
ケイイチ。リカ、確率的なものかもしれないのですよ。
Things are changing, Hanyu. Accept it. A strong will is directly related to fate. If his will to give the doll to Reno was weak, this might have been a result of that. But I don't feel it was just a coincidence. I believe that Keiichi remembers something in his heart, and because of that, he made some progress. Mion, having turned red, insisted that the cute doll would be much better fit for Rena. Her attitude made it clear that she really wanted a doll but couldn't be honest about it. Yeah, so if we chose the other prompt, she would decline it immediately, right? Because she's gonna say, no, I don't need it. But she really likes it.
だからさ、おじさん、こういう可愛いお人形はさ、ちゃんとした可愛い女の子に渡した方が似合うと思うんだよね。私みたいな男女に渡してもほら、人形の方がかわいそうっていうか、
But no, you actually liked it though.
欲しいくせに。顔に書いてあるじゃねえかよ。
違う、書いてなんかないよ。嘘つき、意地悪。
Mion shook her head with an embarrassed look, pretending she wasn't interested in the doll. Everyone here knew that she wanted it. We all looked at Mion with big smiles on our faces.
おいおい、別に女の子じゃないと人形は渡せないとか、そういう考え方じゃねえぞ。こいつは俺と今日の部活で熱い睨み合いをしてくれた親友への贈り物なんだぜ。
そうなの？ケイちゃんは男の子の友達にも人形を渡すわけ？
まあ確かに選べる範囲があるならわざわざ人形は選ばねえな。でもよ、男の世界じゃ相手に悪意がない限り贈り物は拒まねえぜ。相手の気持ちなんだからよ、変に断られるとかえって男気がないよな。
じゃあ女の子でなくても人形を受け取ってもいいんだ。
Everyone thought Mion's reaction was hilarious. Rena couldn't stop chuckling. Satoko and I burst out laughing too. Mion, having realized she was being laughed at, got even more embarrassed.
男が仲間に送ったもんだぜ。大事にしなかったら承知しないぞ。
うん。おじさんがこの人形が欲しいからもらうんじゃないよ。ケイちゃんが仲間に送るって言ったから、ケイちゃんの顔を立てるために受け取るんだからね。
Hanyu was cracking up too. She was laughing in a loud voice, knowing that no one could hear her anyway. But was this really a good way to resolve the problem? I thought that Mion's issue in the previous life was that she wanted Keiichi to treat her like a girl. She got the doll, but Keiichi still wasn't treating her that way. Still, Mion looked very happy. Maybe it wasn't a big deal after all. I'm sure that Mion will take that doll with her to bed tonight. I mean, it's a big deal. She's just not showing it. She'll kiss it goodnight too. I could bet on that. It was written all over her face.
ようやく受け取ってくれたぜ。人形1個渡すのに手間のかかるやつだぜ。
Keiichi turns around to face us, smiling bitterly.
ケイイチくん100点満点かな僕もそう思いますです。あの意地っ張りのミオンによくお人形を渡せましたです。ミオンさんも笑っちゃいますわね。欲しいってあんなに顔に書いてあるのに痩せ我慢なんかしちゃって。
違いねえな。
こらおじさんの陰口を言ってるでしょ。こら
みーちゃん、バイト急がなくていいの？遅刻しちゃうよ。
もう覚えてなよ。
Mion seemed like she wanted to stay longer, but after looking at her watch, she started heading to work. Everyone was wearing smiles on their faces. The day was such a fun day. Everyone had lots of fun and no one was hurt. I repeated the same day so many times before, but this time something was different. It's like I rolled a die and got a 6, and I rolled it again and got a 6 again. I don't know if this was just lucky or a lucky coincidence or if it was meant to be. It's as if the god of fate is celebrating my motivation to fight against him. Ooh. We did it. That was a pretty long chapter, right? Very long. But it's nice that, yeah, good times to the Yashiro-sama. It's nice that fate is changing. Okay, let's just check this out before we end. I was watching TV with Satoko and Hanyu after eating dinner. It was a variety show and the performers were making the audience laugh. We were laughing too.
ざまあないでございますわね。はう。でも、とっても痛そうなのです。みぱー。
While the three of us were enjoying ourselves, in reality there was only Satoko and me in the room. I'm the only one who can see Hanyu. Satoko can't see her at all. Hanyu responds every time Satoko says anything. Satoko can hear her, but Hanyu still responds to her when she's in a good mood. It's like she's answering a question asked on TV. You could even compare it to playing house. She started playing this game with other people because she can't communicate with anyone else but me. Hanyu always attends our club meetings and has a good time there too. If she could communicate with my other friends, she would have been a good match for us. But I don't want to hurt her feelings by thinking about that. If the story of the miracle written in the old scriptures is true, if it's really Hanyu who performed it, she's someone who had a tremendous power a long ago. But now, she doesn't have any spiritual power and I'm the only one who can even see her. Hanyu has never told me how she lost her power. Hopefully we see her background, right? I just have to assume that her spiritual power diminished over time. There's a legend in the Furude family that says Oyashiro-sama will be reborn if a girl is born to the family 7 generations in a row. With my birth, Hanyu was finally able to communicate with a human for the first time in centuries. Does it mean that Oyashiro-sama has returned? The villager's image of Oyashiro-sama doesn't quite match up with that of Hanyu. Especially when I see her lying on her belly and watching TV with Satoko. Bro, when you see that Oyashiro-sama is someone like this. He's just a fun little girl. Not some menacing or some other kind of person, right? That's why it was called Good Times with Oyashiro-sama. But yeah, pretty good episode today. Rika hoping that fate would change, and it did change, even though it was just minor bits, right? But yes, we're gonna continue this and do more of Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 7, Minagoroshi, in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.